Welcome to day 65. We are in Numbers 22 through 24. We are over halfway through the book of Numbers. And this is an interesting part because it shows the story of Balaam. Balak asks for Balaam to come, and Balaam must be some sorceress or not sure exactly what this person is, but he is a person that also talks to God. We don't know much more about him, but he's not a prophet. So something different about him. That doesn't mean anything here. It's neither here nor there. It's just that's who that person is in the story. But some interesting things about it. So Balak asked Balaam to come in and curse the Israelites, and of course you're not going to curse the Israelites or you will be cursed, and we're going to talk about that and where this comes from. If you bless Israel, you'll be blessed. If you curse Israel, you'll be cursed. And then we talk about the donkey. So let me I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's talk about what God told Balaam to say or do. That's the key point behind these things. So chapter 22, verse 20, it says, "That night God came to Balaam and told him, 'Since these men have come for you, get up and go with them, but do only what I tell you to do.'" Okay, so somewhere along the line, he didn't do what God was telling him to do, and he's on the donkey, and the donkey, is having problems and won't go where he wants him to go, and because the Lord sent the angel or the one of his the Lord's army angel or something, I can't remember what it said in here, to stand in the way of the donkey, the angel of the Lord, I'm sorry. And the donkey would move, and so Balaam is kicking the donkey a bunch of times, and then finally God gives the donkey the ability to speak. In the end, it talks about even the rocks will cry out for God, and the trees, and so it's not impossible. Well, first of all, nothing is impossible for an infinite God. God is infinite. The impossible is possible with God. So he makes the donkey speak. So this is part of that story. So in 22 verse 28, then the Lord gave the donkey the ability to speak. "What have I done to you to deserve your beating me 3 times?" So what a amazing story to see that God has given the donkey the ability to speak to Balaam, which I thought was funny. And then it said, the angel of the Lord says this to him in verse 35. He tells him to go ahead and go, and he says, "But the angel of the Lord told Balaam, 'Go with these men, but say only what I tell you to say.'" So before it was do only what I tell you to do, now it's say only what I tell you to say. So Balaam finally gets this. He's only saying what God tells him to say. And 3 different times Balak tries to get him to curse the Israelites. And then we get into the number 7 again in your list. Builds 7 altars, 7 young bulls, 7 rams, and he does all these sacrifices 3 different times to get Balaam to ask God for a word to curse the Israelites. But obviously Balaam comes back and says, "No, you're not going to curse them." So in another one of my lists is God's attributes, the way he is, his names. So I wrote this down on Numbers 23, verse 19. This is in one of the messages that Balaam is giving. "God is not a man, so he does not lie." Well, that's interesting. I mean, men lie. So "He is not human, so he does not change his mind. Has he ever spoken and failed to act? Has he ever promised and not carried it through?" So something in that gives us an idea of who God is. Okay, he is not human. Plain and simple. Okay, you'll find someplace in here says, "Well, God changed his mind. He did something differently." God knows all along what is going to happen. And he does things to get people to do certain things, and then he does these things. One thing leads to another. He knows exactly what is going to happen. Okay? So there isn't anything that changes his mind because he already knows what's going to happen. And then we get into the what I alluded to a minute ago. "Bless those who bless Israel, curse those who curse Israel." So 24 verse 9. This is the last part of this. Like a lion, Israel crouches and lies down like a lioness who dares to rouse her. So when God is on Israel's side, nothing can go against her. And then it says this: blessed is everyone who blesses you, O Israel, and cursed is everyone who curses you. So there is a very important message from the Old Testament, and it still applies to today, except we have Jesus now, and but God still is trying to bring the Jews back into the fold, and he will. 144,000 of them in the end, along with others as well. So that is your day 65. I will see you tomorrow.